Thanks, everybody.
Prepare yourself
for a talk radio
experience
like no other.
Strap yourselves in and hold on.
He stands for truth. He stands for justice. He stands for what's right. This is the Alex Jones Show. Call Alex now, toll free, at 877-590-5525. Now live from Austin, Texas, here's Alex Jones.
It is July 5th, 2009. We're going to have wide open phones for the full 2 hours today. And we have a special guest on the economic front popping in the next hour. Surprise guest. Tell you about that a little bit later in the transmission. The toll-free number to join us is 877-590-5525, 877-590-5525. If you're listening to us live on this Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. Central, that's 2 to 4 Pacific, a lot of stations re-air this show. In fact, more stations re-air it than carry it live. So if you're listening to the retransmitted broadcast, you can always email us at Infowars.com. You can always comment on the message board at PrisonPlanet.com. You can always call in during the weekday show from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. as well. Okay, it is Sunday, day after 4th of July. Why am I here when most people are taking off? Well, because the Republic is on its last legs, as they say. The United States has been captured. It has been shanghaied. It has been bamboozled. It has been hijacked. It has been boarded. It has been buffaloed. It has been overtaken, captured, wherever you want to call it, by foreign offshore corporations openly. We call that group of bad guys the New World Order. And they write thousands of white papers and hundreds of books and give thousands of speeches and go to Davos and brag they're bringing in world government and how they're going to have a global carbon tax and make us all fuel serf slaves who live at subsistence level because it's better for the earth and easier for them to control us. This is a fact. This is what we're facing. Now, the global crime syndicates media for decades, as all of this structure was being set up and built, they denied it existed and had their controlled corporate media, the old media, sit there and tell you that you're crazy if you talk about these issues. And they would craftily, on TV and radio and in print, mix the private Federal Reserve, talking about the private Federal Reserve, or talking about chemical and biological and radiological weapons testing on the people, or subjects like that are documented on record. The private Federal Reserve is private, is run for profit, has never been audited as a criminal group. That's a fact. It is a fact. There have been tens of thousands of above-ground chemical, biological, radiological testing against the people of the United States and the world. That is a fact. There are thousands of issues just as big as those that nobody ever really discusses unless they try to mix it in with chupacabras, space aliens from Mars, time traveling, which is all interesting and fun, but not based in provable, certified reality. And so when the mainstream media, by design, mixes those issues in, mixes the private Federal Reserve and the private corporate dictatorship in with those silly issues, the other issues that can't be proven, then that discredits the serious topics. So for years, the media did this, and now we openly have world government being set up. Hundreds of major publications are coming out and saying that a private group of banks offshore now rule the United States, just like they rule third world and developing countries through debt, and that we're going to be paying our carbon taxes to them, and that we're going to lose our standard of living, and that America's over, and that our freedoms are over. And that, well, really, this is good because America has been too uppity, America has been doing too well, and we deserve this. So after all these years denying that any of this existed, after all of these years denying that any of this is happening, they're now going, oh, yeah, there's a world government run by offshore banks, but they're going to fix all the problems and fix the environment and everything's fine, so just sit down and shut up. And if you don't like it, well, then you're basically terrorist. That's what's going on. That's what's happening here in the United States and worldwide. So you need to know that on this day after 4th of July, that everything the 4th of July stands for, all of our liberties, all of our freedoms, private property rights, parental rights, family rights, constitutional rights, it's all going out the door. It's all being wholesale trampled on, butchered, decimated, burned to the ground. It's being disintegrated in front of our eyes. And until we start realizing that, until we start facing those facts, it is only going to get worse. You know, I have linked to and I have made films about and I have covered at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com and JonesReport.com and PrisonPlanet.tv ad nauseum the thousands of public documents where the elite of the planet sit around and brag that their plan all along was to deindustrialize Western Europe, England, and the United States. To bankrupt the free market, to bankrupt the middle class, so you had to go on welfare. Because they're going to leave the taxation control grid in place. They're going to bankrupt every factory, every job you've got to make you serve them, to make you be under their control. It's like NAFTA and GATT. They knew and they wrote that that would deindustrialize the country, and look what it did. Then the very same banks loaned out all this fiat currency and credit. Then they pulled the rug out from under the people 2 years ago. They've had tax incentives to move your companies, your factories offshore out of the United States and out of the West. It's a monopoly game. How do you control it all? You first bring it all down. They knew what it was going to do. They paid the tax incentives, paid to move the jobs overseas, and left the borders wide open. When it's unconstitutional, criminal, and 80 to 90% of the American people, depending on the poll, don't want our borders open, it stays open no matter who's in office. The illegal aliens, I've got Associated Press articles where Homeland Security, when they do arrest an illegal alien, they take them and give them a job building government facilities. This is the takeover, and the big question is, what are you going to do about it? They paid the companies to move out of the nation. And now they're putting a carbon tax on every farm, every ranch, every factory, every company, every office, every car, every home, every tank of natural gas, every tank of gasoline, every container of motor oil, everything with carbon taxes on it. The foods you eat, the fertilizers that are used to grow them, and no one else but the West. The United States and Europe, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, no one else of 160 plus other nations has to make any of those greenhouse gas cuts. Now, if you think the economy is already in free fall, and you think the situation's only being made worse by government spending $14.8 trillion, more than the gross domestic product in the first 7 months of the banker bailout that began in October, if you think that's bad, imagine what the carbon taxes are going to do. It is designed to throw a wet blanket on what's left of this sputtering economy, that the last coals of industry and jobs are now dimming and burning out, and they throw a giant wet blanket over it. What does a wet blanket do? It puts out the fires of free market. And then what is Obama and the Republican Party with him doing? There are car dealerships from Texas to Michigan, from New York to Florida, from Florida to Vermont, from Vermont to Washington State. 3,000 plus Chevy dealerships. The White House openly controls what stays open and what closes. Families that even want to just change car dealers and own the property their dealerships on are being told, no, you signed contracts years ago saying you have to shut down if we tell you to and give us your car list and customer list. And then if they're inside Democratic Party operatives, they get to stay open. If they're not, they get shut down. This is a top-down mafia economy where big, select global corporations use the executive branch to forcibly come in and take over whatever sectors of the economy they want. This is what tyranny is always about. Stay with us.